Okay, so the next thing we want to do is move this room history field from the game class into the player class. So you remember when we did current room, um, there are tons of instances of current room, and they're like all over the file, right? So we decided to use self-encapsulation, and you know, then just use the move field refactoring and do stuff that way. I think with the room history situation is a little bit different, because if you look, so there's room history is declared here and it's initialized here, right? But the only places it's actually used, it's only used in two methods, in the go room method and in the go back method. So if we could like just pull out just this little bit of code where room history gets set, and it kind of makes sense actually to include this set current room stuff too, since the player should be responsible for that, right? So these kind of go together actually. If we could, kind of pull that out and pull this out. I mean, we want to keep the println stuff in the game class, but mainly, pull just this little bit out, and put those into the player class, then we'd be all set, right? And then we just have to move the field, and then we'll be all set, right? So there's actually another very common common refactoring called extract method, okay, where you want to pull out a piece of code that that should be standing alone, okay, and sometimes it just happens that a method's just getting real long and you just want to pull stuff out of it. But in this case, we have the reason why I think it makes sense to pull out this code and put it into the player is that it is, like I said, it's just a kind of a little section of the method in general. Also, like in Go Room here, the game class is taking care of parsing out what the command is. So really the player shouldn't need to know about that stuff, right? Like the player should just be passed the name of the direction that he's supposed to go in, and then just go in that direction. So that kind of makes sense too, that we just want to pull out this little bit. But actually, I think we should try to go back first, because I think that'll be a little easier. There are no local variables or parameters that we need to worry about in here. So let's try to write a method that it will extract, and that we can use to just extract this little bit, but make sure we keep the println in this main method here, so that so that later on when we move the stuff over to player, that we can keep the println in the game class. All right, so I'm just going to make a method private void. I'll call it do go back. I'll probably, when we move it over to the player class, we can just rename it to go back again. But we need to have two different method names. So I'm just going to stick this in here, and I'm pretty much want this logic. I'm going to just copy this for a second here. Well, actually, wait. Let me just see what they say about that in extract method. So you have a code fragment. Let's look at the mechanics for this guy. Okay, so it says create a new method and name it after the intention. Okay. And name it by what it does, not how it does it. All right. So like I said, I just chose that name really temporarily, because when I move this, it's going to be the go back for the player. Okay. So this go back will reference player.goback. Okay. So it'll tell the player to go back. All right, so we did that. And then copy the extracted code from the source method into the new target method. Okay, so that's the next thing, is that we want to copy. So basically it's all of this. So let's do a copy and a paste, okay. And what else? Scan the extracted code for references to any variables that are local in scope. So we're not going to have to, that's not going to be a problem in go back, but you'll see when we do go room, we're going to have to worry about that, about local variables and parameters. So if we just look real quick here and do go back, there are no local variables or parameters. So room history is a field that we know about, and there aren't any local variables or any parameters. Or, you know, and the go back method doesn't have any parameters. So look to see where any of these local scope variables are modified by extracted code. Again, we don't have to worry about that, right? Because we don't have that issue. Pass into the target method as parameters any local scope variables. We don't have to worry about those. Compile when you've dealt with all locally scoped variables. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. Replace the extracted code in the source method with a call to the target method and compile and test. All right, so we're not quite ready to, well, okay, no, we have the code in the target method. Yeah. So replace the extracted code in the source method with a call to the target method. So that's the idea here. So the idea here is then this compiles. What we can do is, at this point, we can just say do go back. Okay, because this is the stuff we extracted, right? So we can say cut, compile. So this should be the first thing we test. So let's just test this real quick. Go down, go west, back. Okay, so we didn't break anything yet. Now the only thing we need to worry about is, like I said, we want this println to be up here. So let's see, how can we do that? Well, what we could do is we could have this guy return a Boolean if to tell us if we were able to go back or not. So if we couldn't go back, it'll just return false. Otherwise, it'll return true. How about that? Okay, and then what we can do here is we can say if this returned actually, if this returns false, then we can do it, right? So if not, do go back. Oh, no, this way. If it does return something, then we'll print out our information, right? And it's on the layout. And then else, we'll print out this business. Let's do a cut. Paste, okay? Okay, so this way, so basically what I'm just trying to do is make sure all the println stuff is still happening in this method. So then I'll be able to eventually move this method over to the player class, and it won't be an issue. So let's just double check that that's okay. New game. Okay, go down, go east, go south, go north, back. Okay, so it looks like we're good. Now, like I said, I want to eventually move this into the player class. I don't want to do that right now in this step because I also need to worry about the room history stuff in Go Room. But once we get this Go Room stuff extracted, then we'll kind of be able to move, move the stuff, move the room history field over. All right. So the next video, we're going to start working on Go Room, and then after Go Room is taken care of, that's extracted, then we can start working on moving room history over.